Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Generation Gap. I'm your host, Gretchen, joined by my co host, Tom.
And I'm Tom, joined as always by my co host, Gretchen.
And today we're getting together to talk about the 1973 American dystopian sci fi film Soylent Green. Soylent Green was directed by Richard Fleischer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say his name? Mm-hmm. Starring Charlton Heston, loosely based on the book Make Room by Harry Harrison, written in 1966.
Very good. I was going to say that, but you just said it all right there. That was it, yeah.
All right, we're done. So
I like that title, by the way.
Soylent Green or Make Room,
Make Room.
Okay.
And they didn't use that for the film. You might have seen that because the TV show Make Room for Daddy.
I did not see that, no.
Oh. Well, it had ended, actually, I think in late 60s, actually. Mm-hmm. But then they had tried to bring it back as a series, Make Room for Granddaddy or something. I'm not sure exactly what. And they were just afraid that people would think this was like a live-action film of the TV series.
Well, in 2025, we remember Soylent Green, and clearly we don't remember that TV show.
Yes,
so,
right.
Guess what won?
Yeah.
Soylent Green is the last in considered the Charlton Heston, sci-fi trilogy.
Yeah.
With Planet of the Apes, The Omega Man, which was another request we'll probably circle back to at some point.
Right. And
this one, Soylent Green. Which is also the final performance of Edward G. Robinson.
Correct.
Who I know primarily as gangsters, and
I think most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his real wheelhouse. He was great as that. So many mimics will impersonate his very distinct voice.
Yeah, and a lot of his mannerisms, which he's got the oh man, I lost his name. Angels with Dirty Faces. What's his James Cagney.
James Cagney.
He's got the same syndrome where it's like I've heard so many impressions of him at this point. And it's
Yep.
Soylent Green is set in the year 2022, during which overpopulation has brought about total social, economic, and environmental collapse.
Right.
The film takes place in New York City with a population of 40 million.
40 million people.
Say?
That's what they say. Yeah.
And it begins as a police procedural, where the police officer Robert Thorne, played by Charlton Heston, is investigating a burglary turned murder of a wealthy businessman, played by Joseph Cotton, who I did not know, but you did.
Yeah. Anyone listening who's a fan of old 40s, 50s films, Joseph Cotton certainly was well known. Mm-hmm. He was also in Shadow of a Doubt, Alfred Hitchcock, great film. Yeah.
I think I looked up he was in Citizen Kane.
Oh right.
Which neither of us like.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So spoilers for a movie that came out in 1973. So if you don't want to hear what everybody knows about the movie already, stop listening right now.
It's one of the most famous lines in cinema history.
It is the line that I knew from the movie.
Right.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I'd never seen this before. You like this movie a lot. So
I do. I've seen it multiple times.
What was your first experience with this?
That's a good question. I don't remember because it's been so long, but I remember I really was a big Charlton Heston fan. Mm-hmm. We'll get into it at another time, but Planet of the Apes is my number one favorite film. Not even because I think it's the greatest film, but because it was the film that I saw as a child that made me love film. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly how old I was. I didn't see it on its initial release. I saw it when it was re-released.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like in 1970. So I was probably 9 years old when I saw it. Mm-hmm. And I just remember being so blown away by that. So I became a really big Charlton Heston fan. And that, again, was right around the time he did this sci-fi sort of trilogy. And I liked each one. I did. Mm-hmm. The Omega Man I liked, and this one also. So it was a real trilogy for me, too, with him. And so I enjoyed it. And a lot of the themes were kind of over my head at the time, even though I was living at the time that they were supposed to be relevant.
Sure.
Yeah. But... and there was things I found out later that made me like it even more. So, depends on your feelings about it, I think, obviously. But I think it holds up well. In fact, some things I thought maybe are more fitting today than I thought they were at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's what's great about sci-fi too, is that sometimes you don't even know. Like you'll see it at the time it comes out, mm-hmm. and you might think it missed the mark, and then years later you'll be like, "Wow, it's kind of right on cue." A lot of the stuff it deals with, we see in the headlines today. I wrote even some down, like overcrowding and population control and filthy rivers, and not so much today. That was big in the '70s. But
A lot of
climate
like
crash,
the climate
greenhouse
change, yeah, that's what I was
gases, or
thinking about.
greenhouse effect. I mean, you hear that all the time today, and it was all mentioned. As far as I know, the first film that really mentioned it all,
Yeah, that's good.
mainstream film. You
Yeah.
know, it did mention the greenhouse effect. You know,
Mhm.
which wasn't that common then.
Yeah, it's a big part of this film too. Like, as much as like the population is like a huge crisis, it's specifically mentioned a couple of times that Earth is so polluted that we've run out of natural food sources.
Right.
Like, we're not, there really isn't really much in animals.
Right.
There's not really any plant. So the primary source of nutrient is Soylent Green, which is packaged and claimed as being sourced from plankton from the Earth's oceans.
Right.
As the last food source available.
Right.
So Soylent Green was one of the films I promised I'd never see. The subject matter, I knew the subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is like one of the number one things in movies that freaks me right out. And I have a really rough time sitting through even the idea of it.
So let's say it together.
Soylent
Green.
Okay.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah.
Yes, in case you didn't know.
That-
So you never would see the movie, for example, Ravenous.
No.
Yeah.
I also would not see Silence of the Lambs.
Right. Right.
I won't. I read a little bit of like the Donner Party stuff in school, and that I had nightmares, and I was like, this is probably like the thing. That's one of the reasons I have an issue with zombie movies. I don't mind the zombies. I can't stand watching
Flesh eating.
Yeah, that's just it's I'm right out.
Oh yeah, and they've gotten so much more graphic with that. In fact, the original zombies, from the old black and white films, didn't even eat people. There was nothing about that.
I thought they did in Night of the Living Dead.
Well, but I'm talking about some of the early ones. Like I
old
walked
ones.
with a zombie. Some of those older ones, they were just people that were controlled. You can control them.
No, I vividly remember that Night of the Living Dead.
Yes, yeah, that was one of the
vividly
first
remember
to actually. That was, in fact, they brought that up. Specifically.
That's
eating
beside the
people,
point.
right?
But Charlton Heston, I've always been a fan of. I grew up. I knew Charlton Heston as Moses and Judah Ben-Hur
Right.
for the first several years of my life.
Yeah.
And then he was my favorite part of Tombstone, and is also I also love Planet of the Apes. It was one of my big. During that, I've mentioned it several times when I was going through like the classics when I was in my early teens. Planet of the Apes is one of the movies that my dad recommended, and I was like, "This movie rocks, top to bottom. This rocks."
Yeah.
Like,
we'll do it one time.
We have to.
But I just want to mention too. I thought the cinematography, the music. I mean, there's so much to love about the film.
Mm-hmm.
And as a young boy, when I first saw it, I had never seen it before, and that's why when that movie ended. Well, again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We're supposed to be talking about Soylent Green, but it was just to me that was life changing. After that, I said, "Wow, movies can do this!" Like I felt so blown away as a kid. I said, "I want to start seeing more movies."
Even like the set and like the world building in Soylent Green, I do think is really interesting. And that's another thing. Like the cinematography kind of has that look that a lot of '70s movies does, where like the Dirty Harry thing, where I'm like, there's like someone smeared petroleum on the lens.
Yeah,
like,
there's definitely intentionally. I'm pretty sure
Yes.
the yellowish tinge,
gross.
right? It just looks like it's sunny all the time or hazy.
Hazy is maybe a better word.
Yeah, smog filled. It looks polluted. It really does. New York City, which by the way is actually California.
Yeah,
It's the MGM sound lot. One of the last films made there, in fact, where all those great musicals were made years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's just like a dystopian,
So besides the aforementioned Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson, the cast also includes Brock Peters, who I knew as I think the Admiral in 2 of the Star Trek films.
Yeah.
And he was also more famously in To Kill a Mockingbird.
It was Tom Robinson, the other man on trial that Atticus defends. Yep.
There was also Chuck Connors, who a lot of people would know from The Rifleman.
True. Yep.
And who was one of the original Boston Celtics.
Right.
Which was my point of interest.
Right, and one of the first people to play 2 sports like that too.
Yeah, baseball and
basketball.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
in fact, I mentioned this earlier. It's kind of funny because I thought they looked similar. Like I'm glad they weren't in too many scenes together because if they were fighting, even the scenes when they're fighting, it's kind of hard to tell who's who because Chuck Heston and Chuck Connors look similar.
They were both very tall.
Yeah, both right. Charlton Heston Chuck Heston was 6'3" and Chuck Connors 6'5". So some pretty
Big
tall
guys.
men in that film.
Big
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
This is, and we did mention too, this is Edward G. Robinson's last movie.
Yeah.
From what I read, Charlton Heston was one of the only people who knew it at the time.
Yeah.
Which does add a layer of
Poignancy.
to a couple of the scenes. Notably, again, spoilers for a movie that came out in the 1970s, but this does just depict euthanasia.
Yes.
And it's a really sad.
Very powerful scene.
Yeah.
Poignant. I thought that was one of the best scenes in the film.
Yeah, it was
So, yeah,
really
and
good.
that's why I like the film, because there's a lot of other scenes, of course, that are memorable. But that scene it almost catches you a little blindsided because you don't expect that kind of poignancy. And what
Yeah.
I found was, not that I would ever choose this necessarily, but you almost see that and you think, if you have to go, it's not a
the
bad
way to
way,
do it.
right? Like, because he's seeing, again, for people who haven't seen it, he goes to this place where that's what they'll do. You choose, and you can choose the things you want to see. You can have your favorite colors, your favorite music, scenery. So he sees life as he supposedly remembers it. With
Yeah.
the beautiful skies, nature scenes, wildlife, and they're all beautifully depicted in this scene,
Yeah.
along with all this beautiful classical music. And when Robert Thorne, Charlton Heston's character, comes in, he's intent on stopping him, but he's already drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So there's nothing
yeah.
you can do. It's
Yeah,
too
yeah.
late. And he's almost stunned by the imagery. He almost forgets that his best friend is dying there because he's staring at it. And then Edward G. Robinson says, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" It's like, "I told you." And he's just like, I never knew. How could I possibly have known?"
Yeah.
That was a powerful scene
The
to me.
movie's biggest tragedy is humanity forgetting the Earth that it's destroyed.
Yeah.
There's a generation thing going on where Edward G. Robinson is old enough to remember the Earth as it was, is old enough to remember when you could get meat in the marketplace,
Right. Yeah.
and there were green things and trees and things like that.
And birds. Yeah.
Yeah, and in this world where the people who are younger, even Charlton Heston isn't passing for 20. Let's just say
No,
like
let's say
30,
it's
yeah,
40.
30s, 40s, something like that.
Right.
That is a world that he has no recollection of.
Yeah.
And
no.
enough of our history has been destroyed that there's not even enough record of it for people
Right,
to
right.
just know what it looked like.
Or even images, and because of the life they're living, it really is dystopian. They don't have
Yeah.
time to sit and look back at libraries and old photos.
Actually,
or
that's
film.
one thing I thought was really interesting. They do have Edward G. Robinson is like a specific group of individuals who seems like they are just possessing the higher learning, that they're
Right.
the ones who can go back and read, and
Right.
your average human being just can't.
Yeah, and they call it like the exchange.
Yeah.
Where they go and they seem to be the only ones who have access to old
Yeah.
records. In fact, yeah,
Very interesting.
it's like a library.
The film is primarily a police procedural, as Charlton Heston, Robert Thorne, investigates the murder of this businessman who was a board member of the food rations manufacturer Soylent Corporations. So
It's staged to look like it's just some random robbery, but nothing's stolen. So Charlton Heston's character right away is suspicious. This seems like an assassination.
yes,
And so he's already wondering, why was this man targeted? Because the guy didn't take anything, and he has this unbelievable apartment
yes,
at the time. There's
Which-
definitely a class strategy
Wealthy
here
man,
too. You
yeah.
see that, yeah. There's the wealthy, and then there's the people living on his stairs. I
Yes.
like that scene too. Every time he goes in and out of his apartment,
He's
when he
walking
goes
over
down the
people.
stairs, he's skipping multiple steps, jumping over people, and he has to climb over the same people going home.
One of the things one of the things I think is really interesting about the movie is the depiction of wealth and classism.
Yeah.
Now we associate classism as people who have nicer cars than us, nicer houses,
Right.
can afford better vacations. This is people who can afford food.
Food, yeah.
Running water, indoor plumbing.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And again, that's another great scene in this film. Again, I thought when he goes into this apartment to investigate this murder,
Yeah.
he seems so distracted by the amenities in the apartment that the
And
murder seems very unimportant to him. Even though he's paying attention, and you realize that later because
Yeah.
he is noticing things, but he's staring at the water, washing his hands. He takes the sheets and he rubs them against his face, I can't believe how soft they're like.
Yeah, and he walks out with hundreds of
A
dollars of
pillowcase
stuff.
filled with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely natural for him to just take this guy's stuff. Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting too is, and we've talked a couple of times about in past episodes about various movies in the 70s and their depiction of women.
Yeah.
The female characters in this, which there are basically two,
Yeah.
function as, I think the term is furniture.
Yes.
Which is essentially
They come with the apartments. If you have that kind of money, this is part of your furniture. You get a woman,
yeah.
a concubine, essentially.
And for them, this is a step up because now they're living in enough safety and
Yeah.
comfort that living is living.
Yeah. In fact, that's his words to her near the end. He calls her briefly on the phone, and then he has to go.
Yeah.
And he says, just stay there. She doesn't want to stay there. She wants to come with him, and he says no. And he actually
It's better
says,
for you,
just
yeah.
live there. And then he says, just live,
Yeah.
which is important. Hey,
It
you're
is.
living. You know, be thankful.
What's crazy to me too is the stuff that he walks out of the apartment with is stuff that like that I have in my kitchen,
We take for
in
granted.
my house.
Oh, yeah. Pencils
Yeah.
and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that $150 for a jar of strawberries?
Jar of strawberries.
No, that's an 18 count of eggs. $150.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in today's economy.
Beef. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, can you imagine like beef? You know,
Yeah.
and they have a feast that night. You know, like, look what I got. Ta-da! Beef. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
where'd you get that?
It's heartbreaking, like to watch the like an imaginary future of humanity where we've gone to a point where this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're robbing basically the dead.
The dead.
To
We are, yeah.
you know, just for a few creature comforts that we take for granted because we eat them every day. Like,
Right.
it's definitely a warning. You know, don't take the plant for granted, and
Yeah.
basically be careful with it.
Right. That was important too, because at one point, again, Edward G. Robinson's acting I thought was great because
He's
when
phenomenal.
he shows him that beef and a jar of bourbon,
Yes.
and they're gonna have this little feast, like an
Yeah.
unbelievable feast, and then Edward G. Robinson starts to cry, and he gets so choked up, and he says, "How did we come to this?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this shouldn't be. This was common, you know, to eat like this, and now it's like."
It's a huge-
And you're stealing it. I don't even want to know where you got it,
Right.
or how you got it. You know.
That's actually one of the things we'll talk about this when we talk about favorite scenes portions because this is my personal favorite. But Charlton Heston does a really phenomenal job of looking like a guy who's never had this before.
Yeah.
Genuinely looking like a guy who's never tasted this stuff.
Yeah.
And like the wonder that he portrays and like this is what it used to be like is really sad.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and you feel it again. You know, I go to stores today, and you know, I'm certainly not upper class, but I go to stores today, and I'm almost overwhelmed by how many choices there are.
I know.
I don't like that necessarily. My wife will say, "Go pick up this," and I go there. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there are so many different types of this. You know, like
Yes.
how do I know which one to get?" So today we have so much overabundance.
Yeah.
So we can't really even imagine the scenarios portrayed in this film.
Correct.
Can you imagine going there and or going anywhere and there's nothing? Like there really is nothing, and you find a jar of strawberries and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never had this. This
Yeah.
is what it tastes
That's
like."
crazy.
Yeah. Or you know, again, like I said, just beef.
As it turns out, you know, during Thorne's investigation, they have the obligatory like cop scene where they take him off the case, but essentially, like long story short, Roth ends up discovering, I grabbed the wrong name. Thorne, sorry. Thorne ends up discovering that Soylent, the company, is making the product Soylent Green out of human bodies.
Right.
The dead. We're reached a level of overpopulation to a point that all we can do is recycle our own.
You kind of have to because there's no place to even bury them or put them anymore.
And that information is what's driven people to insanity, and Edward G.
People to
Robinson to
assassination,
suicide.
people to suicide, right? Yeah.
Because dying is better than living with the truth.
Right. Yeah.
This is what we've come to.
And you don't know what that truth is, but there's hints at it earlier on with the priest who knows the secret.
Yeah, he's totally out of it too.
Totally out of it, and even Joseph Cotton's character, who does end up getting assassinated,
yeah.
but he also is clearly living with the secret. And he even says to the guy, you know, it's the guy asks him. He said, "So am I doing the right thing?" And he said, "No, but it's necessary."
Yeah.
Like, cause he can't live with himself that way anymore either. You know.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And like I said, for me personally, like, I mean, obviously it is disturbing.
Yeah.
The periods during the film where they're really dealing with like the masses, like the crowd control with the big people scoops, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, people
That's
scooper.
like a claustrophobic, like
Yeah.
really uncomfortable, like I want out of here feeling.
And they're so upset because it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is Soylent Green Day, and they're even as they're getting scooped up into they're like, "Wait, but it's Tuesday."
Yeah.
But they can't understand there's a shortage. You know, we can't feed you today.
Which, if there's a shortage of that product, we're like,
Yeah, then there's nothing.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're out of everything.
and that's why they're using people now.
It's such a bleak end of a film because the movie ends with a lot more. It's not even questions. It just kind of ends.
You know, it's funny because they wanted to have the studio demanded a happier ending.
Oh, really?
They did, yeah. And Charlton Heston really fought, and so did the
did he?
director. Yeah, they said no, we want it to end kind of on, not really a cliffhanger necessarily, but it is sort of, because you don't know, so what's going to happen? How are you going to resolve this?
It's a bleak end.
Right. You wonder, did his chief know? Does his chief eat people? Does he know that that's what he's eating? Or is he part of the elite that gets the good food? You know, so you don't really know what's going to happen next, because he blurts it out in front of lots of people, you know, that Soylent Green is people.
Yeah.
And even if you were one of those elites who can't do anything, or one of the people who can't do anything about it, what are you going to do? You're going to eat it still?
And and the other question is too,
That's
like,
scary.
are we now at a point, like, in terms of, like, with humanity, like, this is the only is this or we die? Like, that is the only option left.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, the movie ends, like, I think he's potentially mortally wounded, like, or being, taken away.
It seems like he is.
Yeah, you don't know if he's going to make it or not.
Right.
And if he does, the secret may not die with him, but the question is how many people care enough to do something?
Right.
And what is there to be done if
And,
there
right. And what can he do? If there is no resources,
what is
do
there
you
left
come to
to do?
terms with eating people? Do you think, like, well, I've been eating it for years now, it's not that bad. Like, what do you do?
Very bleak.
Very bleak.
Uncomfortable ending.
Which is what I also liked about it. And then, it's funny because most movies, especially most studios, because you have to think again, it's 73.
Right.
They almost wanted a happier ending. There had to be some sort of positive resolution at the end of the films. This film doesn't really have that either.
The 70s was starting to hit into that period where, like,
It
movies
was.
were getting braver with ending, with kind of leaving people be uncomfortable with the other movie.
Yeah. But these would want to offer some sort of hope. There's really nothing hopeful at the end of this,
No, it's
other than the fact that he's revealed it to
pretty much
people.
just miserable.
But that almost makes it more hopeless, because what can you do? Like you said,
Significantly worse.
Yeah. Now we all know, and now what do I do? Just stop eating?
Yeah.
That's your choice.
The movie doesn't give you an alternative. There's no alternative answer either. It actually reminded me of a little bit of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Where it's like you hit the ending and you're like, well, now what?
Yeah, now
like,
what?
Where this is the end.
Yeah. How do I stop it? Like, now that I know these people are all aliens, what do I do?
And even, to some degree, the end of Planet of the Apes, where it's like you hit the end and you're like, well, that's a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's over.
Right. Also very bleak. Yeah.
And again, like, most of these do function as big warnings to us.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too. I looked up the director, Richard Fleischer, who I didn't think I knew. I didn't recognize the name. Mm-hmm. He did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah.
He did Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah, I know.
Tora.
Yeah, very diverse portfolio.
The Jazz Singer.
Yeah.
And my personal nemesis, Conan the Destroyer.
Yes. That's
and
right.
Red Sonja.
Yeah.
So we have him to thank.
Right. Or blame.
Or mostly blame, I think.
And he's the son or grandson, right, of Max Fleischer.
Son of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's also, influential.
Who did a lot of animation, I think.
Yeah.
So, kind of like a carpetbag director looks like. Just kind of did a little bit of everything that came his way.
Yeah. Very diverse.
The novel, which I did not read, but you said you read part of.
Yeah.
By Harry Harrison. It's another one of those adaptations where the original author came to terms with it, I think, but never really liked it a lot.
Initially criticized it, and then he said he was okay with it. But again, it's funny because the things that he didn't like about it necessarily are the things that I actually liked about it.
Well, in the book, some of the things that got changed, like, there's no people eating in the book.
Right.
It's made up for
Soylent Green is not people, right? Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, the original novel, which is set in the far future of 1999, there is still the overpopulation and the environmental collapse, but it doesn't do as much of the digging into the whys and wherefores of, like, what that looks like. It's more of like a personal story.
Yeah, and he was really trying to push the whole population explosion thing, that we have to somehow, which also leads to all kinds of science fiction, dystopian premises.
So one of the things I think is interesting too is, and like I knew before I went in that I knew the twist. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that anyone ever really talks about. It surprised me because I remember sitting through I remember checking my watch at like 40 minutes in. I'm like, when are they gonna say it?
Yeah.
When are they gonna say the thing?
Yeah.
And it surprised me when I'm like, it was like the last 15 minutes of the movie, and I'm like, oh, we're finally going to talk about it. Okay.
And it's funny, I don't know if you noticed this, I was really, because again, everyone who watches it today would know the twist, but I was watching it to see, he does have a private phone call, with Saul on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And they deliberately mute that one part of the phone, he has to pick it up. And I looked, and I thought I saw, I'm not 100% sure, and I could be wrong, but I thought I saw Edward G. Robinson, Saul, mouth the word people
Oh, okay.
And then you hear Charlton Heston's voice, and he says,
I thought he was gonna say it then.
I thought for sure, right. The first time I saw it, I thought that they were going to find out then. But then he just says something like, how I'm going to have to let people know. I have to find proof.
Yeah.
That's what he says, yeah. So you know that's what Saul had just told him, and now he
Yeah.
has to go find proof. He says go to the exchange and get the proof. So if you're aware and you watch his lips, and you're good at lip reading, you can almost see him say the word people, which I thought was kind of clever.
That is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's really like almost the very final scenes where you do know for sure what it is.
Yeah, more of the movie is more interested in exploring kind of what humanity looks like in this day and age.
Yeah,
and like
what would bring us to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting stuff. There's like an interpersonal, a play on the relationships. Like, there is a lot of selfishness and a lot of like, we have to do like this, otherwise we're gonna live like everyone else.
Right.
And Charlton Heston's character Thorne he's good friends with his roommate Saul, who is Edward G. Robinson,
right,
and ends up involved in the woman who is living in the apartment of the murdered man. And I had her name.
Yeah, I have it too. It's funny because it rhymes with what is the line? Let me see.
Is it Lee Taylor Young?
Oh yeah, the actress's name. Yeah.
Yeah.
She plays Cheryl, the furniture girl.
Yeah. Oh.
Because she's considered furniture.
I didn't know her from anything else.
No, she didn't really do too many things. Actually, I was kind of surprised. I looked at her whole filmography.
She was pretty good.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the first things he says to her, Charlton Heston, when he sees her, he says he looks at her and she seems okay, and he's like, "So he didn't knock you around, huh? Well, you're lucky."
Yeah, that's yikes.
Because that's what it is. I mean, again, they're concubines. They come with the apartment. They're furniture. Yeah. So these men can do what they want with you, and they hint at that, not too graphically, but they certainly hint at it. Even at the guy who buys the apartment or takes over the apartment after, and she's part of it.
Right.
And he says, "Do you like fun? Do you want to have fun?"
Yeah.
And it's implied there too, right? Yeah.
Gross.
It's very gross. And she doesn't seem like she wants to. That's why she calls.
And wants out.
Out.
That's the other thing that's bleak too. Like, okay, her living. Like, is this any better?
No.
There's no way out.
No, there
for
isn't.
anyone.
No. And even Charlton Heston tells her, just stay there, just stay alive,
Right.
basically. But that's not living. That's terrible.
A little bit of fun things that I noticed. The year is 2022, and the best video games that we have are Space Invaders.
Right.
And we have payphones.
Right.
I love a good payphone.
I know. It's funny, isn't it, to see that? Because it's supposed to be so futuristic, and of course they didn't realize.
There's some stuff that, like, some of, like, the sci-fi, like, prediction movies that they get so correct that I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Right.
Like, we did Blade Runner a few episodes ago, and they have, like Zoom almost. Like, they've got that we can video call.
Right.
But it's like a collect call. Like, that's still a payphone.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
like,
it's still a payphone, right.
Had us in the first half.
I'm surprised they didn't have it where you could see each other in this film.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some things that were predicted, like Star Trek predicted that in some ways. Even like they predicted the cell phone.
Right.
You can't get it all right.
Right.
We were talking before recording. We both discovered that there is a company called Soylent.
Yeah. It's actually called Soylent Nutrition Inc. I don't know if anyone listening knows this, but it was formed in 2013. It is called Soylent Nutrition Inc. And it is named after this film, sort of as a little tongue-in-cheek thing.
I would not buy it simply.
I know, just based on that, because I'd be a little suspicious. So it began producing meal replacement products under the Soylent brand in 2013. And I looked it up. The listed ingredients include 28 vitamins and minerals, 12 brain boosters, 9 amino acids, and for now, 0 people. For now.
0 people.
And according to a Wikipedia article, the makers of Soylent claim it contains the nutrients necessary for a healthy lifestyle. And some people, this is from Wikipedia, some people have experienced gastrointestinal problems from consumption of Soylent, particularly flatulence, which I thought was funny, but it makes you wonder, so what is Soylent? For consumption of Soylent, even the wording sounds strange.
I just don't
right?
care for it.
I know.
I simply, like, there are some things I think, like, oh, it's funny, like, they made it after, like, they made it after the movie. And then there's some things where I'm like, that's in poor taste, I wouldn't do that.
I know. And I almost wonder, is this sort of like, so down the road when people find out that they are using human beings, they'll be like, hey, we called it Soylent. You had to know, right?
That's insane.
I know. You just don't know. I know.
The big trivia, and it is one of the first things that I read, Edward G. Robinson passed 12 days after this film finished production. He was dying of cancer, and Charlton Heston knew that.
Right.
So the scene where Saul passes, is euthanized. At that point, Charlton Heston did know,
and so did Edward G. Obviously,
obviously.
right? So he's acting his death scene, knowing he's going to be dying soon.
And that is the saddest scene in the film for
it is
the emotional stakes, because these two guys care about each other. They do really
they do say I love you. You
yeah.
know, they say I love you to each other, and
they're the only people that actually say that out loud.
Yeah, right. Because most of the world does seem very
selfish.
Yeah.
It's what you have to do.
Yeah, mm-hmm. They don't really care about anyone anymore. You can't, and I think and I can almost relate to that, because in that type of environment, you can't afford that.
Right.
You do have to survive. If someone has something you can eat, you're going to go get it. We've been reduced to a primitive state.
Mm-hmm. So that is in terms of the trivia, those are the biggies that I picked out, and that does it does color a couple of things too. I think now that we're living in 2025, 2022 is past. We know what the 2020s look like so far. We aren't fighting overpopulation. We aren't fighting.
New York City doesn't have 40 million people.
8 million?
It has about 8 million.
Yeah.
Right.
So the issues are different. Some of the things that they bring up, we do still hear talked about: climate change, Earth's resources.
Effect,
and those are still important. I think it's interesting. I'm wondering how the movie's going to ring in a couple of years to a new, I wonder what the problems we're going to be looking at in the next 30, 40 years are going to be looking like.
Yeah. Because
we talked about this too. Every dystopian film is at some point talking about what we're afraid of happening right now.
Right.
And in the 70s, overpopulation was a concern.
Yeah.
Because they just went through that boom.
Right.
Now we're living in a period where we're not looking at that so much. We're actually looking at potentially the opposite problem, depending on where you live.
We're lacking the replacement population to take care of the population. So it's almost the exact opposite.
It is a different.
And I read this recently too. A 2021 National Atmospheric study showed plankton is back at unprecedented level following years of decline.
Great.
So, the Earth seems to be healing, which is a good sign.
Yeah. There definitely needs to be awareness, and not to turn this into a PSA, but there's one thing I learned from Star Trek 4, Save the Oceans.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad message for,
no.
If a film's going to give you a message, take care of your planet is not the worst one to have.
But it's also, to me, kind of obvious. Although
you would think, right.
You
would think,
yeah. You do see a lot of people who don't, and I'm shocked by that still. Mm-hmm. I remember the old commercials from the 70s where someone would throw their garbage out, and the Indian would be standing on the side of the road, and he would start crying.
Oh, that commercial.
And he was actually played by an Italian actor, by the way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but anyway, you don't see that as often, but I still see a lot of garbage on the side of the road.
Yeah. And so my generation, I think I'm a Gen Z, but the generation before me, the millennials, the 90s were full of that was Captain Planet. That was that was the era where they were slamming you with that every 20 minutes every Saturday morning. Yeah. And even now a lot of our movies, Avatar. Yeah. At James Cameron is one of those films that we had that reminder pretty much in some form in every generation. Right. Take care of what you have.
And sometimes I understand, and it's maybe necessary. I'm sure it's necessary. It also seems easy, because it's easy to always say, so. Just as a message. Recycle. Who's gonna say, no, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, we don't have to save the Earth, although by our actions, it doesn't seem like people really care that much, sadly.
Yeah, this is in the same cinematic universe as the Lorax, apparently.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, we brushed over this earlier too, you and I, but the movie, I liked the beginning of the film.
Yeah,
it starts with the old black and white photos. And I've seen the movie multiple times. I just noticed it really more when I watched it recently. Mm-hmm. It starts with the old black and white photos and I think it was sort of upbeat music with the compilation of America and American progress through the years. Mm-hmm. And then it suddenly shifts to a darker tone.
The regression.
Which is funny because it's color now.
Yeah.
But it shows color photos of war, overcrowding, smog and haze, pollution, filthy rivers, poverty. Mm-hmm. And then it begins the film proper with what it says, New York City, 2022, 40 million people.
That was interesting because, we were saying, we just did the last movie that we did was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which takes an 8-minute break in the middle of the film to be like, here's a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
And I was also saying I just watched the 1954 A Star Is Born with Judy Garland, which was charming and has nothing in common with this movie at all.
Right.
Except another 8-minute period in the middle of the film
yeah.
that's just photos with overlaid dialogue, and I'm at my limit with this.
Yeah. This one I thought of those three we just mentioned. This was good.
That's because this is totally
the opening
setting
credits,
it up.
right? And it's opening credits, and you could see ominous, like how
this is
good things were and how bad they've gotten.
Yeah, I know.
It made perfect sense.
It didn't feel like we needed to pad the runtime somehow.
Right, exactly. And it didn't just interrupt the film. It was just with the opening credits.
It was lead-in, and it did a good job in like setting up that this is the world, this is what's going on.
And then just that little, where it was written that it says New York City, 2022, population 40 million.
I like the world building. They're very economic with establishing the rules of this world.
Yeah. And again, they used the MGM backlot, and it hadn't been completed, so they thought that actually made it look almost like because they were starting to take it down. Yeah, like somewhat demolished. Yeah, and it was a good idea.
Yeah, it's effective, and it does feel like crowded and grimy and uncomfortable, especially the scene when there's that. The gunplay going on in the scene with the people scoops. A couple of civilians get killed because
no one seems to care there either.
There's no room.
Right, there's no room.
You can't get a clean shot at anybody.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it puts like a new. That was one of the first times I've recently seen like a shootout in a public place where I remember feeling like, oh man, people are gonna get hurt. Like,
yeah. Just because there's so many of them.
Yeah,
you can't hide.
Yeah, I'm like,
they can't even duck out of the way.
Right.
Yeah, you're sitting ducks.
People are just crawling out. Like it's uncomfortable is the word I keep using, but like it is like a situation where it's like, man, we're almost like vermin in our own cities.
And I don't know if you caught this. I did for the first time only today. There was a scene earlier where the guy who's basically telling these people to go out and kill these heads, who know the secret. There's a girl, a woman with a baby in the scene, a young girl, maybe 1 or 2 year old, and and then later on, I don't know if you noticed that. They do show her again later, and she's dead. And I don't know if it's by suicide. Yeah. And the one person takes that baby because the baby's crying in the middle of the street.
Oh, man, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so now you know this mother. And I don't know, like I said, I think there was a note also, but it wasn't very clear.
That's sad.
So I don't know if she killed herself and asked people to take care of her child because she couldn't anymore. Jeepers. But that's another aspect that this film doesn't really get into much. Mm-hmm. But you also think, it would come to that. You can't provide for your child. What do? You kill your child or you kill yourself.
The one thing I did notice, too, during the scene with the euthanasian clinic, there's some people out there, like young people.
Right, I noticed that also, which was really, again, very subtle, but you notice that. You expect to see older people, but then you also see some younger people there too, and they've just decided, euthanasia is the way to go. And the movie it's crowded.
Yes.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't even ask you any questions, they don't ask you to morally wrestle with it.
No.
Which I do think, that's one of the things I think is perhaps the most effective in these kinds of movies, when they drop something in your lap, don't ask you to do anything with it, and just let you figure it out.
And you catch it, and you're like, wow,
did
you notice that? Yeah. Look at all the people, and look how many people are waiting to be euthanized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the way once he's gone, I mean, it's very impersonal.
Yeah, they just
they're very nice to him there, and then they just send him out, and they're going to take him, and they're going to turn him into Soylent Green, which you didn't know at the time, but when you see that, you're like, boy, that's it. In and out. No long mourning period at all. I know I referenced the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which again the movie did make me think of in that, like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is the 70s one is a movie that's afraid of losing individuality. Right. And in this case also, like, what personality do these people have outside of survival? Yeah, like, they don't. They're really more like animals. Saul sticks out because he has interests, he has memories, and he's passionately, like, still basically to hold on to what's left of the earth. He's still invested in what he used to enjoy. And sadly, he gives up at the end, too. Mm-hmm. Once he finds out what's really going on, he just decides, I'm going home, he calls it. It is a... Yeah, we keep using the word bleak. Yeah, I know. I was going to say that, too. I know. But what other word? Grim. It is very bleak. Gray. It really is. Hopeless. The movie looks like November. Yeah. Even though it's hot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's in the middle of a heat wave because we destroyed the oceans. Endless heat wave. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Like ice is like. Did you notice everyone seemed to be a little sweaty too?
I just thought that was just 70s movies. 'Cause
Yeah, no, I
everyone's
thought that
always
was
just sweating.
yeah, I think that was intentional also. Like, even they're into places and everyone seems to be hot, uncomfortable, except for the elite.
Yeah, that's honestly that went over my head because that's one thing I've noticed in multiple older films. We don't see that as much in modern stuff.
No, they're probably better with, the powder too,
Stuff
to
like
keep
that.
them less glaring.
But I've made a couple of jokes with watching stuff with my family, like movies made like 70s and 80s where I'm like, everyone is really sweaty in this movie. It was a really warm set.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But this film, I think it was intentional too.
It
looks
might
like
have
it
been.
maybe
Yeah, I didn't catch
spritzed,
that.
Even when he goes to his police precinct
Mm-hmm.
and his chief, Brock Peters, is sweating.
Yeah, yeah.
Charlton Heston is sweating. Everybody looks very uncomfortable.
I did enjoy seeing Brock Peters.
Yeah.
Like I said, I knew he looked familiar. I didn't pick up. I'm like, oh, that's who that is after the fact.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Another, and we said Lee Taylor Young was Cheryl, the furniture girl.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Van Patten has a brief
Yeah.
moment there from Eight Is Enough.
Who I know from Spaceballs, actually.
Yeah.
And Joyce Van Patten is his sister.
Right. And this is very minor, but there was a cop that Charlton Heston sees a couple times, played by Mike Henry. Some of you may know him. He played Tarzan in a few different films, and he was Junior in the Smokey and the Bandit film series. He played a prison guard in The Longest Yard, and he was with John Wayne in Rio Lobo.
And he was a Steeler.
Yeah, right. He was actually a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah. So this is the first time I ever even noticed him, because I saw Longest Yard again recently. I was like, wait, that guy looks so familiar. And I looked him up. I said, oh, that is him.
I hadn't seen The Longest Yard in forever. I should
Yeah.
go back and I should
It
watch
still
that at
holds
some
up.
point.
Yeah, it's still good.
That's beside the point.
Yeah, it's another one we could do. Another thing I noticed, first time I noticed this too, and it's very sad, is that the 2022 New York City skyline is missing the World Trade Center.
Oof, really?
Because they had just been built when this movie was filmed,
Oh, man.
so they weren't even included in the film. But when they show the skyline, you notice that they're absent, which is kind of weird.
Oof.
It's a little unsettling,
I think I've lived without them for so long.
Yeah.
I don't think I even noticed.
But if you watch an old film, like from in the late 70s and on,
yeah.
you will see them, in the background.
Japers.
Yeah. Godspell, which I think also came out in 73. I'm not sure. Was it? I'm not sure. 75? I'd have to check, but when Godspell came out, there was a scene on top of the World Trade Center. Yeah, it had to be later. It had to be 75, 76, I guess.
Godspell, the movie was 73, you're right.
Oh, it was 73?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because I think you can almost see construction stuff, too. Yeah, so
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So they do a scene on top of the World Trade Center. And it might actually be the first time they're portrayed on film.
Interesting.
But yeah, so same year as this film, but you don't see them in the New York City skyline.
Interesting.
Which is also weird then. Why wouldn't? Because they must have been almost completed.
Production.
Anyway, I don't know. Well, also because it wasn't filmed in New York City.
That might be a big part of it.
It's supposed to be New York City, that's right. That's probably why you don't see
LA.
them. Which is interesting.
Did you have a favorite moment in this, or is that what we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I don't want to keep going back to that, but it was the death scene.
Oh, it was your favorite scene? Really?
Oh, yeah. What were you thinking?
I like the dinner scene.
Oh, that's another great scene.
That was
Yeah,
my
they're both
favorite.
very poignant. But
It's just Edward G. Robinson is all this movie is to me. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, he's great in it too. And there's that scene when he starts to cry, like I said, when he's eating the beef and he's just, you think I don't know, he's maybe a mixture. He's crying from sadness and from happiness because he's tasting the beef again. But then he does say, how did it come to this?
Mm-hmm.
Like where I'm crying over a piece of meat,
There's so much storytelling and quiet acting and emotional weight in the sequence where the two of them are just sitting down over a real meal.
Yeah.
And
the way they prepare it.
Yeah, it's everything. It's very ritualistic. It's very like, this is a huge deal. And it's just, it's beef stew that I could have made.
And every bite
is a huge
they're savoring
deal.
it. They take the bourbon. And they even show like where Charlton Heston starts laughing a little bit because like this
he
is.
He has to teach him how to take a bite out of an apple almost.
Right.
And
yeah.
I have an apple like I love apples.
Yeah, you have it every day, right? It's no big deal, right? Trees, I mean, everything is gone,
Yeah.
It just really, I think it's, one of the reasons I like this film so much is because every time I watch it, I see different things.
It does teach you to appreciate
what you have, yeah.
Yeah,
and it does show you how they really could go away, some kind of a climate catastrophe or something else.
But that's my favorite scene. Your favorite's the death scene?
Yeah, the death scene. I found that so, I don't know. I just thought, and I hate even saying this because Charlton Heston has always been one of my favorite actors, and I do like him, but I just never thought he was a great actor. You know,
Yeah.
he's in great films, and
He's stagey.
he's very stagey, right? Yeah, and I think sometimes he's a little hammy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which works in the films that he's in. He
Yeah.
works that well. Like even Planet of the Apes, I think he was a little maybe over the top even, but it fit that film. A lot of the religious, biblical epics, it fits that character, that film. So certain films, even this film, some of his scenes are maybe a little cringy to me. I think looks like he's acting. I wish it was better done. But I like that death scene. I thought when he's looking up at the screen,
subtle for him there.
yeah, very subtle because he looks stunned. And when he's looking at the screen and he says, "I never knew. Like, how could I have known?" I just found that like, wow. Imagine living in a world where you look at a beautiful scene of a river, a clean
And
river,
you've never seen it before.
and how could you have known like that? I don't know, that's powerful.
Charlton Heston is one of those guys. Like my family likes to joke because one of our favorite films growing up was The Prince of Egypt, which
Oh yeah,
I don't think have you seen.
I have seen it. Yes.
Okay, good.
Just within the last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But we joke about that one comparing it to the Ten Commandments and the original, and not the '50s one, not the '20s one. Sorry.
Right, it's just the original, not the silent film.
Not the silent one.
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah. You have to be careful when you say original, you forget.
And then comparing it to the biblical account because the biblical account, Moses has a speech impediment.
Right.
So it's like I'm not a good speaker.
Right.
And then we joke about Charlton Heston like this gigantic
Commanding,
booming voice,
right?
just
yeah.
refusing to settle down the entire film. We're like, yes, Moses.
Right. Yeah, it's funny.
Of slow tongue.
yeah. And he didn't want to be the speaker. He wanted his brother to
Yes.
speak for him because I'm slow of tongue.
Yeah.
Don't choose me.
And then we also joke because in the Prince of Egypt, his brother is Jeff Goldblum, known for stuttering.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's almost become a caricature of himself.
Besides the points.
Right.
Favorite performance in this? Or is it the same? We have the same one?
Yeah, it's tricky. I thought all the performances were pretty good.
I didn't think I picked an easy. I picked my favorite one out the bat.
Is it Edward G?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I agree, but I don't think there was really too many false notes at all. I thought Chuck Connors was good. Mm-hmm. His furniture, the black woman, was also
what's
good.
Her name?
I forget her name.
Because I looked her up and I don't think she's been in much else.
No, I didn't recognize her from anything. But she was also, again, not a major.
She did really well.
Part.
Like, she was really good too.
She did play that part well.
A lot of like that subtle world building where it's like we don't have to over explain what's going on to you. We trust you to be an adult and figure it out.
Even just that little scene when when Chuck Connors comes home. And she's standing there very quietly, and he says, "Why did you leave the door unlocked?" Or "I told you not to leave the door." And she just glances a little to the side, and oh man, somebody's there. And it was Charlton Heston.
I liked how she's very she hides the spoon that she's using to eat the strawberries with.
That's another great scene because imagine that she's home by herself enjoying a $150 jar of jelly.
That's crazy.
And or strawberries, I'm sorry. And then there's a knock at the door, and the first thing she has to do is hide it. And she left the spoon there, and then she right away knows, oh my gosh, he knows. He's going to know that I have this $150 jar.
Her name was Paula Kelly.
Yeah.
And the only other movie that she was in that I think I would know her from is The Andromeda Strain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She had a little bit of TV, but not a lot. I didn't recognize her.
No, I didn't recognize her either. But again, a good performance. I don't think there was a bad performance in the whole film.
Not one. No.
Which is good. I'd have to go with Everett G. Robinson. And really, the scene where he starts to cry. Yeah. I thought that was really touching.
It's not even because, and it's kind of like I think part of this might have been like the John Wayne into Shoot Us thing, where it's like, if you know what's happening,
definitely that.
It colors it.
Even when he started to cry, it seemed so real. I was wondering, was he thinking about his impending death?
Because I knew that. I did my research after the movie. I watched the film and then went and looked stuff up afterward. Yeah. But I think it was just a genuinely good performance, no matter rock solid, no matter what. It was, I think, one of his really great ones. Yeah, it just happened to be his last.
Yeah, sadly, and he was very professional.
Yes.
No one else in the cast even knew. He didn't want to call attention to himself. He showed up for work on time.
And he was a really good actor too. Some actors their last role is one where you're really.
Oh, there's been some really bad last roles.
But it's a Titanic last movie. It's
if you have to go out with the film,
go out with a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Don't go out with what was it? The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Is that
was that Sean Connery's last? That was Sean Connery. Yeah.
Oof.
Or what was that other one with Joan Crawford? Trog. I forget.
Oh, I never forget.
Oh, really horrible B sort of.
And it happens.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I thought, and again, Charlton Heston, I thought was very good in it.
Yeah.
Where I sometimes think he's a little hammy, but I thought he did well with this role.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
I think he fit the world that he'd been built into very well.
Chuck Connors was also not just Chuck Connors. I mean, who was the other guy we just mentioned? Brock Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him a lot.
Small role, but he was very good in it too. Because again, I look at these little acting things. There's a scene too where I forget what happens exactly when they're exchanged with Charlton Heston. I think he hangs up the phone or just walks out of his office. And sometimes it's that little moment when someone walks away. You look at their acting, and he just kind of rolls his eyes, doesn't say anything, but it just seems so real.
Yeah,
it
the
really
scene's not over. Yeah,
exactly. The scenes. The guy might have even said cut, but he's still kind of in character, and it was good. I mean, little things like that.
I think too, the police chief is like one of those roles that's been like troped to death over the years, and like you can blame a lot of movies like Lethal Weapon, like these buddy cop movies where it's like it's the same thing.
Right.
But I never at any point was like, okay, here's the scene where he tells us to hand in the badge. I did not have that moment.
Right.
I was actually like interested.
Yeah. And it made perfect sense in this context.
Yeah, because you actually don't want him to know anything else.
Right.
Yeah, and we're in danger the longer that we're looking into this. So
also Joseph Condon, a very small scene.
Yeah.
Important scene. His acting was great too.
His acting was the scene where he's assassinated, where he's just resigned to the fact that this is just what's happening.
And he's almost expecting it, maybe almost welcoming it. He kind of feels you can see the weight of the guilt.
Yeah.
Knowing what he's part of.
It's not an easy movie to sit through. It definitely is like a movie that takes its little moments and makes you sit with them. Yeah. Which I do appreciate.
Especially being someone who's queasy with the whole cannibalism aspect.
Yeah, right? I was kind of like waiting the whole movie. I'm like, when are we going to talk about it? Right. Like, I hate this.
But you have to admit, though, it's really not hit upon because you don't really know it at all until the very end.
Yeah.
Knowing it makes you queasy.
For me, it just just the thought of it is just
Yeah, because you watch it when you know that. You're watching everyone and you see how they're all waiting for their Soylent Green, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're waiting for maybe their neighbors and friends and relatives.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
I know.
Did you go back and rewatch this?
Would I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't.
I don't. No, you wouldn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
I saw it. I'm done.
Yeah. It's funny sometimes even after I just watched it and then we talk about it, I kind of want to see it again because now I haven't yet. But sometimes I'm almost like, oh, that's something else I didn't think about, like something you'll bring up.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I'll go back and look at this again.
No, this is one I'm happy to leave alone.
One and done.
Yeah. It was a movie I never thought I'd talk about. I talked about this actually with a coworker of mine who is a little bit of a he's more of a horror movie buff, but he's still a movie buff. He's around my age. Right. And he asked, he's like, "Oh, are you doing a podcast this week?" And I was like, "We're talking about Soylent Green." And he's like, "I've never heard of it."
Really? Never even heard of it?
Never heard of it. And
it's not really horror, but it's kind of along the lines science fiction horror. Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because, like, from a movie buff circle,
right?
That you know the ending, you know the twist.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him, but he was asking me a couple questions, and so for the first time, I had to like talk about this movie, and at no point could I bring up what happens.
You can't.
It's kind of like the it's like the Darth Vader's Luke Skywalker's father thing, where I'm like, I can't believe someone doesn't know this.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent, of
I'm
course.
almost envious. Like I almost wish I could see it and not know that.
Not know, sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do too.
There was a time, and I don't remember even how I felt at the time.
Sure.
I mean, the first time I saw it, I didn't know.
Well, it's like the Planet of the Apes thing. You wish you could see it and not know again.
You could see it and not know again.
Yeah. Which I will say, the first time I saw it, I think.
Did you know?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
The ending didn't affect me as much as the rest of the movie did. Which isn't the case, honestly, which is the case with this movie. The ending did not affect me as much as the rest of the film did. The rest of the film made me think, and for that I was grateful, because I didn't want to spend the whole thing going, gross.
Yeah, right.
So, I am...
No, because there are a lot of aspects to the film.
Yeah.
That is the most notable aspect, but there's a lot more going on.
So in that, I am glad that I saw it, because this was on the list of movies I'm never going to touch.
Yeah.
So...
I'm glad you saw it, too.
I am glad I saw it. I will not watch it again. Yeah. And I definitely will not be watching, like, Silence of the Lambs or any of those.
Ravenous, I'm telling you.
I can't.
That's a good one,
I'm
too.
Not doing
Ooh,
it.
Boy.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Omega Man?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's also on the list.
We can do that, yeah.
Yeah, I know that was another request.
Yeah.
We do have our list, although I think, readers and listeners, we're heading into the Christmas season. We're recording this the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Happy Black Friday.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably be taking a look at a Christmas film to do in the near future, or a special Christmas episode at the very
let
least.
us know if there's something in particular.
Definitely.
Let us know soon.
Yeah, I don't think there's any Christmas ones that are off the table, as far as I know.
How about Black Christmas? Have you ever seen that?
Rough. No, not yet.
Yeah, that's we shouldn't do. That's a horror film. That's not really a Christmas film, although it's set at
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. I mean, that can count.
Yeah,
it can count.
Yeah, I could.
I have a list of films I keep trying to get classified as Christmas movies that my dad won't let me.
Yeah.
Die Hard is not one of them.
Oh, it isn't?
I will not know. That argument is passé, and I will not be taking part of it.
Mm.
I will, however, be campaigning for Batman Returns as a Christmas film.
That's interesting. Yeah. How about Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
For sure it counts.
Right.
Lethal Weapon?
Yeah. Starts off with Christmas tune.
Gremlins is an obvious one.
Right,
but
right.
all of this is beside the point. We'll be back next month at least with at least a Christmas episode.
For sure.
And hopefully some more new content that we're gonna be. This is our gonna be our 6-month anniversary next month.
Oh wow!
So, and we'll be looking at all kinds of stuff to do in the new year.
Yeah.
So
suggestions always welcome, though. Yeah.
Always, yeah. I there's plenty of things as we keep discovering. There's plenty of things I have not seen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's plenty of movies you haven't seen yet either.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking to expand.
Yeah.
And there are some movies that we just may not have thought of to talk about.
True,
So yeah,
right,
if you guys have a suggestion or even a special topic that you want us to talk about, we'd be more than happy to take a look.
Yeah.
So, as always, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
Don't forget to recycle, and
yeah, take care of the earth.
Take care of the earth, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.